Welcome into the LSU Sports Insider Postgame Show. Welcome into the LSU Sports Insider Postgame Show. I'm Zach Ewing, live from Alec Box Stadium. If you heard me before the intro, we'll just call it technical difficulties. It's 12:09 a.m. We're going live after midnight for the second straight night here at the box, and so who knows what will happen. Scott Rabelais supposedly over here, ready to join me anytime, and we will talk through LSU's 10-6 victory over Little Rock in the regional final, a regional that LSU survives with quite a bit more drama than anybody expected and anybody in purple and gold would have liked, but ultimately the Tigers get the job done. They lost, of course, to Little Rock last night, forcing this winner-take-all game. And then they fell behind 5-1 tonight in the second inning and still trailed into the sixth inning of this game and did not take the lead again until the seventh. So quite a bit of drama. They end up tacking on 3 runs in the ninth inning that make it a little more comfortable, and LSU beats Little Rock 10-6. We will take you through it. We have the all-regional team for you as well, and we will hear from our writer Scott Rabelais, possibly Reed Darcy or Koki Riley as well. They're trying to get some interviews done. LSU is going in, I think, for its interview session now, so I don't know. Those guys may need to go do that first. Do want to let you know that we are brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake Health. They are the official championship healthcare provider of LSU athletics. So let's recap this one. In case you missed any of it, in case you weren't interested in having a heart attack tonight, LSU takes a 1-0 lead. First inning. This one courtesy of an Ethan Fry solo home run, 1-0 LSU. That would be a sign of things to come for Ethan Fry, who had a huge night for the Tigers tonight. But it did not come that easy. We talked about it in the pregame show with Koki. Jay Johnson choosing to start Zach Cowan tonight, his first start of the season. Normally an ace reliever for the Tigers. He starts tonight, gets through the first inning okay, runs into big trouble in the second inning. That did not go well. Second inning, Little Rock scores 5 runs. Again, it was free passes. They had 11 walks last night. Did the Tigers pitching staff a walk and a hit batter to start that inning? Then a base hit, a bunt, another walk, a base hit. All of a sudden, it's 3-1. And then an error. Daniel Dickinson tried to get an out at second base, threw the ball into left field, scores another run, and then a bloop single. All of a sudden, it's 5-1. And here is Scott Rabelais. And it's 5-1. Well, I don't know. I'm going to let Rab pick up his mic. I'm going to ask him this question. But, Rab, it's 5-1 in the second inning of this game.
Mm-hmm.
How do you describe the atmosphere in Alec Box Stadium at that point?
Just as tense as it could be. I mean, just as nervous. I mean, the LSU got the early lead with the Ethan Fry home run, but it wasn't enough. I mean, they had the lead last night early on. And just to fall behind 5-1, it just looked like Little Rock not only thought they could win, they knew they could win. And everyone knew that the LSU could lose. And it was just the enormity of what was staring LSU in the face, trying to come back, trying to avoid a horrific defeat. But they fought back and obviously got the measure of them. But at the time, it was very, very tense in here, as tense as you could have it.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to give the LSU fans credit because they recovered pretty quickly and started to try to encourage their team. And I think that helped LSU turn things around. What really helped LSU turn things around was Case and Evans because, besides everything else you mentioned and staring a 4-run deficit and making errors and just kind of doing all these out-of-character things, LSU was running out of pitching because the plan was to use Cowan and Evans for, 8-9 innings tonight, maybe the whole game. And all of a sudden you have to take one of those guys out before he gets out of the second inning. And so it's all on Case and Evans. Hey, a freshman, son, just go in there and give us as many outs as you can. As it turns out, that was a lot of outs and a lot of strikeouts. And that was huge.
Yeah, I mean, Cowan only got 4 outs. So obviously that was not the plan. I'm sure they were thinking go 4 or 5 innings and then hand it off to Evans and maybe somebody else. But Evans was tremendous. Struck out 9 batters in a row at one time.
9 in a row.
You mentioned that.
It's the whole lineup.
There's no record for that, in case you're wondering, in the LSU record book. But I've never seen that.
I'm proclaiming this the record.
In 40 years of watching LSU baseball,
yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. So I know they said Anthony Renato struck out 10 out of 11 one time, but nine in a row he struck out the order, and it was just remarkable. And threw over 100 pitches, I think 109 pitches. Just as they talk about, Little Rock talks about it. LSU, Skip Bertman used to talk about holding the rope, just holding on, giving the offense a chance to finally get them back in the game, to finally get them on top, and he did it. And if I was casting the MVP vote again, I might vote for him.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about the regional MVP was actually Angel Cano of Little Rock. It's one of the rare instances you see a MVP from the non-champion, from the runner-up. But I mean, it's hard to argue with that. The guy had 11 hits in the regional and 16 RBIs or something like that. I mean, it was just an unbelievable weekend.
He got them here. He got them within a game of the Super Regional.
And no disrespect to Cano, but he was a 265 hitter coming into the. I mean, he was nothing special. 265 with 7 homers or something. I mean, he was fine, but he was certainly not MVP. But he was this weekend. He was the MVP. You could have certainly argued Case and Evans, who didn't even end up making the all regional team because they only have room for 2 pitchers. And you have to just take you behind the curtain. You have to submit the ballot in the 7th inning of the final game. And so a lot of people do it ahead of time, and they picked Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson. If you had to do it again, and I actually slipped Case and Evans in on my team in the 7th inning and took off Ianson, which should have been a mistake, which was a mistake. I should have taken off Anderson because Ianson was the one who came in and slammed the door for LSU and got the last 5 outs of the game. He did give up a single that pulled Little Rock within a run, but then LSU gets the big homer from Jared Jones, who'd been struggling all weekend, finally gets the homer in the 9th, and they get a little insurance and put it away. But I will say that I think the hit of the night, we talked about Ethan Fry's homer, his 3-run double in the 5th inning, which did not give LSU the lead or anything like that. But finally, it felt like LSU could breathe a sigh of relief. They finally got a big hit. They had the bases loaded 5 times in these last 2 games, and that was the only time they got a hit with the bases loaded. He clears the bases with a double to the right field corner, and Little Rock's still ahead at that point, but everybody kind of, I think, let go of their breath a little bit.
Yeah, it finally was some momentum. Like everything was going for Little Rock's way. There were a couple of hits earlier in the game that they hit the deep center field where
Zach Henry was unbelievable.
The Little Rock
all regional team. Yeah,
LSU could have had the lead early on, but he robbed them of a couple of hits. They could have had the lead before that inning, but then Fry was remarkable. Of course, they moved him up to second in the batting order. They moved Jared Jones down to 6. They also moved Braswell to the 9th spot, and all those moves seemed to pretty well pay off for LSU in terms of their batting order, which kind of made me curious. I guess Little Rock didn't want to upset what was going so well for them because they scored 46 runs in this regional after getting shut out in the first game. I was surprised that Cano was still batting 7th.
Yeah,
considering how many RBIs, as you said, that he had. But maybe they just wanted to upset things. But he batted 7th in this game. I would have considered moving him up, but I'm not a coach. But
it ain't broke, don't fix it. I guess.
I guess not.
Yeah,
I guess not.
And so Little Rock is shut out Friday night. And Rab, I know if you need to run to the press conference, just let us know. We're live here at Alec Box Stadium, LSU Sports Insider postgame show. This looked like it was going to be one of the easier regionals in LSU history. They beat Little Rock 7-0 behind Anthony Ianson on Friday night. They beat Dallas Baptist, who was supposed to be their main competition here, 12-0 on Saturday night. And all of a sudden, Little Rock turns around and eliminates both Rhode Island and Dallas Baptist, and LSU takes a 3-0 lead in the first inning last night. Like, this was going to be a breeze of a regional for this Tigers team, and the breeze turned into an all-out battle with this 4 seed. I mean, you really got to tip your cap to this team.
Well, yeah, they lost like 13 of their last 14 regular season games, but in the postseason, they got hot, as teams sometimes do. They won 5 games in 4 days to win the Ohio Valley Conference tournament, which they had to do to get in the NCAA tournament, to get the automatic bid, because they were the 8th place team and had a losing record, still have a losing record, of course. And then they win 3 straight before losing to LSU, bracketed, bookended by LSU was the win on Friday and this win on Sunday. So, but they made it really tough. This was the on paper the easiest regional in the country, based on combined RPI, because Little Rock had an RPI of 243. They were the lowest ranked team.
And Rhode Island was one of the lower 3 seeds. I mean,
yeah, it was not that great. Now LSU avoids a national seed. Clemson lost their regional. West Virginia is going to come here. Only 9 of the top 16 seeds survived. So it wasn't just LSU that had struggles.
You don't apologize for regional championship. Don't do it. And LSU will face West Virginia, who, of course, they've never played before. They could have played in the Supers last year had LSU finished off North Carolina in that regional. So it's the second straight Super for West Virginia. That's who will be coming in here next weekend. That'll be exciting. But Rab Koki's here, so we're going to swap you guys out unless you had any final
I was just going
thoughts
to say, maybe we could tick through the all-region.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do
real
it.
quick. The pitchers are Anthony Ianson and Cade Anderson. The catcher Luis Hernandez, who was
2 homer. We didn't mention him.
Yeah, he was Big Poppy tonight for
tying
LSU.
homer, and also the homer that gave him an insurance run at 7-5 too.
Angel Cano was the first baseman. Keaton Grady from Dallas Baptist, the second baseman. Stephen Milam from LSU is the shortstop. Ty Rhodes from Little Rock, the third baseman. The outfielders are Chris Stanfield and Derek Curriel from LSU, and Zach Henry, as we mentioned, from Little Rock. The DH, Ethan Fry, and Cano got the MVP award for, like I said, for getting his team here when no one thought they could.
Yeah, and I will say, like, one reason Cano gets the MVP, he had a great weekend. The other reason, it's hard to pick one for LSU. They kind of needed everybody and got contributions from almost everybody.
Exactly.
All right, he's Scott Rabelais. We're going to let him go and
and
get some interviews. He will pass the microphone to our beat writer, Koki Riley, who is surely here to give me props for my pick to click.
Amazing work.
We had 2 pregame shows this weekend. One was on Friday, and I picked Daniel Dickinson, who had 2 home runs, and then didn't do anything the rest of the weekend, basically. And then Ethan Fry, who hadn't done much all weekend, was my pick to click tonight, and he goes 4 for 4 with the homer in the first inning, with a 3-run double in the 5th inning, and just all-around great work from Fry. I don't promise I'm going to keep that up, but we may have some shows next weekend in the Super Regional where I'll try to keep it up. Koki, your thoughts on this one? I think you just have to start with where this place was when it's 5-1 in the second inning, the third inning, the fourth. That wasn't until the bottom of I guess it's the top of the fourth when Fry hits that 3-run double and finally injects some life into this place. And Kason Evans helped out as well. But we kind of found out tonight what LSU is made of. I think their backs were against the wall.
Yeah, they were in as dark of a place as they've maybe ever been, because of the stakes of this game, because of the fact that, as we said before the game, if they had lost this game, it was going to be one of the worst losses maybe in program history, maybe the worst loss of program history, given the opponent, given the stakes of this game, given the fact that things were going swimmingly well up until 24 hours ago leading into this game. So when you're down 5-1 and nothing seems to be going right, and one of your best relievers, arguably your best reliever, gets tagged like he did, things got very, very tight in this place. And how could they not get tight, right? Just given the stakes of this game, and everyone knew what was on the line here.
Yeah, I think the players got tight too. When Dickinson threw that little flip into left field, that was the moment I thought, oh no, they might be in trouble, because it's 3-1, it's 4-1. LSU's gonna score some runs in this game. You're not too worried. But at that point, it's 4-1. Little Rock still has runners on base. LSU's starting to make errors. They bloop a single in between Chris Stanfield in center field and Dickinson coming out. To make it 5-1. Cowan's out of the game. You're down to Kason Evans and a bag of balls in the bullpen. I mean, things were dark. And speaking of things being dark, give me 1 second. We're a little dark. This is what we call live post-game shows. Is that better? That's better. A little better. We are live here at Outback Stadium after midnight. Tigers win the regional, advance to the Super Regional to face West Virginia next weekend. Not exactly the way we expected them to do it. Certainly followed script Friday and Saturday night. But this Little Rock team, man, they would just...
You have to give them at least some credit.
Oh, tons.
At least some, if not tons.
Because part of me thought, once LSU tied the game, Luis Hernandez, Big Poppy, home run, ties the game in the 6th inning. And then LSU takes the lead on a Stephen Milam fielder's choice in the 7th inning to score Ethan Fry. At that point, I thought, and Kason Evans is striking out the world, I kind of thought Little Rock might let go of the rope.
Yeah.
Because they've got to be exhausted. Their pitching is depleted. They're using all their starters. I mean, they literally use every pitcher.
This place is going crazy.
The place is going crazy.
Yeah.
I really thought it might get ugly, and it almost did. Like, who was it who hit the shot to the? Oh, it was Tanner Reeves hit the shot to the wall in the 9th inning, almost made it 12-6. Like, it almost got out of hand. But even then,
he had a couple shots to center field, actually. Reeves.
Yeah, Little Rock, I think, loaded the bases in the bottom of the 7th, and then Hernandez hits another homer to make it 7-5, and Little Rock puts runners on and gets another run off of Anthony Ianson in the bottom of the 8th. I mean, they did not quit. They went quietly in the bottom of the 9th, but that was finally the only time they did all weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, they loaded the bases right on Evans in the 7th inning, and then they get that run in the 8th. So, I mean, that team didn't quit. Like, this place was going absolutely crazy. It just seemed like there was every reason for them to keel over in that moment. And they just didn't. It was a remarkable performance from them. Like,
yeah, I struggle to see how that team went 19-32 in the regular season. It's
the way they've played the last couple weeks.
I guess it's their pitching, but that's baseball for you. It's crazy. Speaking of which, Rab mentioned this: 7 of the top 16 seeds failed to make it out of the first weekend, including number 1 Vanderbilt, including number 2 Texas. The next 4 teams I think got through. Number 3 Arkansas, 4 Auburn, 5 North Carolina, 6 LSU all get through. So they kind of become your favorites going into Super Regional weekend. West Virginia comes in here, and it's got to feel like a blank slate for LSU. You can kind of take a deep breath. You can get some pitchers, some rest. I'm sure they wouldn't mind a Saturday start instead of a Friday start for the Super Regional. But I think, again, we talked about this. If you can win tonight, that Sunday night game becomes a hiccup. The country kind of got to see what Little Rock had. LSU overcame that. Ole Miss wasn't able to overcome that against Murray State, right? Like, there were teams around the country that were facing teams they should have handled and couldn't do it. Vanderbilt couldn't do that against Wright State. Ole Miss couldn't do that against Murray State. LSU was facing a Little Rock team that truly believed it was going to win, and they found a way.
And, I mean, this was a moment. This was truly a test of will and character, right? When you're down 5-1 and facing potentially one of the most embarrassing losses in program history, and yet you turn it around, get the bats going. Ethan Fry, Casey Evans. There was a moment in the game where Ethan Fry and Casey Evans were literally single-handedly carrying this team to victory, and then some other guys start chipping in toward the end. But that was a very dark moment, and it takes character to get it to dig yourself out of that hole. It really does, because not every team would have done that in that same situation. For sure,
I completely agree, and I think. I think, and we got to let Koki go to get to the press conference, but we'll just wrap things up here. Like, we talked last night about LSU feeling the pressure. In the second inning, it sure looked like they were feeling the pressure. Daniel Dickinson makes the error. They couldn't get to the ball in center field. They're walking batters. They kind of answered that bell. They answered that question: is can you perform when you're under pressure, when your season is on the line? Ethan Fry did it. Casey Evans did it. Eventually, the whole team did it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest possible moment to do it, you know. And they did it. Now, again, like you said, it's a clean blank slate. There's a bunch of question marks that we can parse through later at a later date. But for right now, if you're an LSU fan, tonight was one big sigh of relief.
All right, Koki, good work this weekend, man. You got a little bit left to do. Interviews to do, a story to finish. It's 12:26 a.m. So
another story right after that.
Yeah, we will see you on the podcast later this week.
All right, thanks, Zach.
All right, LSU post show rolling on. Reed, are you going to join, or are you going to the press conference? All right, Reed, come on, Reed. We'll hand the mic off one more time. The LSU Sports Insider postgame show is brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake Health, the official championship healthcare provider of LSU athletics. Finally got some drama. LSU hadn't really played a close game all weekend. They finished 10-6, but it felt close.
Am I the closer? Am I coming in relief, trying to?
You are. How many pitches have you thrown
couple
this weekend?
outs?
We're calling for the right.
Ooh, I'm fresh. I'm ready to go.
Anthony Ianson and you, man. Dude. And Kate Anderson was in the bullpen, too. It's all hands on deck.
He was warming, so I guess if Ianson struggled, I guess they would have.
Or it went to extra innings or something.
Something like that, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what I can say what Rab and Koki haven't already said, other than just, going down 5-1 after 3 and whatever innings. You could feel the tension in this place. Mm-hmm. It got super, super quiet. I've never felt the Alex box be this quiet, be that tense in that moment, because what they were on the verge of was suffering one of the worst losses in program history. And I don't think we can sugarcoat that. But the way they came back, the way that they found their stride at the plate, it was just huge, and it just really impressive the way that they battled back from that deficit.
You see things in the postseason all the time. You cover basketball primarily. You see this in the NCAA tournament sometimes, where the team gets its scare that first weekend, and they're the team that almost gets knocked out by Cinderella. They survive. See it last year in the Major League playoffs. The Dodgers barely survived the Padres in the first round, then they get rolling. This could be that moment for LSU. I'm not proclaiming anything, but this is one of your national championship favorites. And they were down 5-1 going into the 4th inning, still down 5-4 going into the 6th inning of this regional against a Cinderella team, and had to survive. it's pretty powerful to come through that as a group and then move forward, I think.
Yeah, and I think if we look big picture, we knew before the tournament started that it was a wide open race, right? There really wasn't that standalone team, maybe 2 or 3 teams that were, a cut above the rest. It was really a wide open field, right? And I think it's only gotten even more wide open as the tournament has shaken out. 7 of the top 16 seeds all lost in their regionals,
including 1 and 2.
Yeah, so it is wide open. It's all there for LSU. They do have some question marks, things that came up as part of this series, but I think, what stuck out to me from talking to the players out there on the field, we actually had a chance to talk to LSU pitching coach Nate Yeski, and he said that they didn't overlook Little Rock. He pointed out the fact that Little Rock was actually picked to finish second in their conference, the Ohio Valley Conference, and they had some injuries. They kind of went through some tough stretches of the season, and so they knew that they were better on paper than their record indicated, and so that kind of helps you explain how they were able to do this, storm all the way to the game 7 of the Baton Rouge Regional on the road. Super impressed by them, and I think LSU is going to be better for having faced that kind of team.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes trial by fire can make you better. So the Super Regionals will start Friday. We don't know if LSU's will start Friday or Saturday yet, but it will be here at the box against West Virginia. The other matchups, I'm going to see if I can do this from memory. I know there's 5 ACC teams. It's Louisville against Miami, 2 unseeded teams there who both come through.
Miami upset Southern Miss,
right?
And Southern Miss region.
Louisville was in the Vandy region. They were the team who came out of the number 1 seeds regional. So Louisville against Miami. Then let's see, you have Florida State, Oregon State. Those are both seeded teams. That's 8 and 9. That will be at Oregon State. That should be a good one. North Carolina is facing Arizona. I can do. Auburn is facing Coastal Carolina. Those are 2 more seeded teams.
Mm-hmm.
Other half of the bracket, you have UCLA against UTSA, which came out of Texas region.
Mm-hmm.
You have Duke facing
Murray
State.
Murray State.
Yep. Then you have LSU, West Virginia, and then you have an all-SEC matchup, Arkansas and Tennessee.
Yes.
So the winner of LSU, West Virginia, their first game will be an SEC game against Arkansas or Tennessee in Omaha, the winner of those 2 super regionals. So, again, like if I had told you before the weekend LSU was going to win its first 2 games behind its 2 big star pitchers, suffer a loss Sunday and win the regional Monday, I think a lot of LSU fans would have taken that. They just would have assumed it would have been Dallas Baptist, the team that they were having to outlast Monday. Instead, it was Little Rock. But, at the end, when we look back at it, these regionals are not easy. We've seen that across the country. LSU made it through, and now they can turn the page.
Yeah, but they were down 4 runs in the 4th inning of a game against Little Rock, who had the worst RPI in the tournament, and finished 8th in their conference. So, I don't know. I don't know what to make.
That's all important context. But as you turn the page, it's like, hey, you lost a game in the regional. That happens all the time. That happens to everybody all the time. And you survived. And now it's time to focus on the Mountaineers.
Sure it is. Super regional this weekend at the box. It should be really fun.
All right. Check theadvocate.com/LSU. We will have more information either late tonight or early tomorrow morning on when that regional will be. It'll either be Friday, Saturday, and if necessary, Sunday, or it'll be Saturday, Sunday, if necessary, Monday, right back here at the box. We'll follow it every step of the way with the LSU Sports Insider. Patrick McGee produced for us tonight. He stayed up late. Shout out to him. Scott Rabelais and Koki Riley showed up, and Reed Darcy, the closer, got it done just like Anthony Hines.
Coming in, got the last 2 outs.
That's right. And I'm Zach Ewing, and we will see you next time on the LSU Sports Insider.